How to do an interview with an expert or interviewing for academic writing. In this presentation, we're going to discuss why you would want to interview an expert, what an expert is, different types of interviews you could do, basic how-tos, and citation information. So why would you want to interview an expert? Because it adds unique details to your argument, it offers another source, it gives more breadth to your research. Sometimes it's the only way to obtain certain types of information, and it can be extremely compelling evidence in advancing your position. So what do we mean by expert? An expert is someone with special knowledge, expertise, training, education, or experience in a particular area. An expert is so in the context of his or her life. For example, you're writing an essay about daycare. An expert might be a parent who's been using daycare for 5 years, a daycare owner, a daycare worker, an adult who was in daycare as a child for significant periods. It depends on what issue you're writing about on daycare. Another example, you're writing about medical issues. An expert could be a doctor who practices in the area, a patient who has a particular illness, a caretaker of a person with an illness, or an individual who works or does billing or something like that in a medical office. So lots of different possibilities. So the definition of expert is broad and it depends on the topic that you're writing about. Types of interviews you could do are in-person, email or other digital networking services, phone, survey, paper. How-to best practices. You need to tell the person that you're interviewing that that's what you're doing, and you need to tell them why you're doing that. For example, I would like to interview you because I am writing an essay about whatever for a college course I'm taking at Lansing Community College, and the information that you provide to me will be shared with a large audience, because during portfolio review it is shared with potentially 50 people. I mean, you won't have that many people read your portfolio, but it could be 2 to 5 people. Privacy. Be sure to protect the interviewee's privacy. It may be best to give them a pseudonym in your writing if private issues are being discussed. Example, Sue, pseudonym, here I have it how you put it in your paper, has been using medical marijuana for 5 years. Be prepared. Always be prepared with written questions to prompt you during the interview. Notes, take them. Be courteous with your time and be sure to say thank you. Always introduce the interviewee to the reader. Give some background information because this helps build the importance of the evidence. And I have an example here. Mary has been living in the Lansing area all of her life and has been working full-time during the years her 7 children were born. All 7 children have been in child care for at least 3 years. Therefore, Mary has a great deal of experience with child care providers in the Lansing area. On this topic, she says, so you build her up first, then you say what she says. And this is true for any source you use in your paper, not just an interview, but this is how you make the evidence even more compelling. Examples. This is just an example of a text that actually I wrote. I interviewed some individuals. The topic was composing for the web, and then this is how I integrated that interview into my text. And here's another example. What we have here is a transcript of an interview. Obviously, I don't expect you to transcribe your interviews, which means type them out at all. You're not expected to do that. But I was doing some research, so I typed them out. So in this instance, I'm speaker 2, so I'm asking questions of speaker 1. And what this is a transcript of an interview that was then put into another piece of writing that I wrote, like an essay. And so the example I showed you prior to this, the slide prior to this, was the actual text that I wrote based on the interview. And you can see how it changes. So this is the transcript, and I'm giving you another, the same slide I showed before, which shows how I integrated the text and the interview into my own writing. Obviously, you're not going to put, you don't want to just put a bunch of direct quotes. You have to introduce the interviewee, build up their credentials or their experience or their expertise, and then you want to carefully, smoothly, and gracefully integrate that into your own writing. Citation information, you cite it like any other source. So you cite it last name first name in MLA, personal interview. You can put email interview there if you want, or something like that if you want to be more specific, and then the date in MLA format. And then I have the AP example here as well. I encourage you to add an interview in your essay.